You're listening to the Youth Critic Podcast on KHZ Network. Find us on Facebook at DecibelUNG Radio and find us on Twitter at DecibelUNG. If you like this episode, please leave a like and comment on our iTunes page at KHZ Network. And now for the podcast.
Hey guys, it's Kayla back with another video. So, the topic of today's video is being yourself. Being yourself can be hard, and it's like, aren't I always being myself? And yeah, for sure. But being yourself is like not changing yourself to impress someone else. A lot of people like call me quiet or shy or whatever, but I'm not quiet.
Most quiet, Kayla Day.
I don't talk a lot at school, but if people talk to me and stuff, they'd find out that I'm like really funny and cool and talkative. By the way, I like your shirt a lot. It's like so cool. What?
One more week of 8th grade, huh?
Huh?
I said one more week of 8th grade, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, huh? Okay, so growing up can be a little bit scary and weird.
We will begin to explore these changing bodies of yours. It's gonna be lit.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Youth Critic Podcast. I am your host, Kel Smith, and joining me today is David Weiser from Film Assessment.
Hi.
We are going to be looking back at 2018, the best of it. David and I have our top 10 lists. I did a top 20 on Letterboxd. I'll leave a link in the description below for that. However, before we get into David and I's top 10 and we kind of discuss 2018 as a whole, let's talk about the Oscar nominations. They aired this morning as of this and so David, I just want to jump in real quick. What do you think about the award season?
I'm not surprised in what happened, but I am disappointed.
That's the one way to put it. So as we've been kind of following the award season globes, but I followed the and I think I was shocked as everyone else was when Bohemian Rhapsody won Best Actor. Because that movie's not really that great. I know the fans are out there, and it's totally fine if you love it. Really, it's not. I don't think it's that great. And the nominations ahead, Bohemian Rhapsody has 7 nominations.
I think it has 5. It has picture, actor, both the sounds and editing.
Okay. So just the fact that that's happened is a little shocking. But even that, I mean, granted, but Green Book also got a lot of nominations. Best Picture, Best the 2 acting awards and editing. Am I missing anything else?
No, Green Book was also 5 noms, so you're good.
Yeah, so there's that controversy. The rest of the Best Picture nominations were scrolling up, A Star is Born, Black Klansman, The Favorite, Roma, and Vice. All 8 nominations. And while I'm glad to see Black Panther get some, Black Klansman get love, The Favorite, Roma, Stars Born, Vice, I feel like we could have done, and this is kind of how my overview is over this, that we made a lot of progress in the last couple of years when we nominated movies like Moonlight, and then we gave Mad Max Fury Road all these award nominations, and then we nominated Call Me by Your Name and Shape of Water, and these are safe choices for Best Picture. Maybe Roma is the ones you would consider bold, like movies that are really going off of their full acclaim because they're kind of, especially The Favorite. I feel like the Oscar nomination of the entire award season, which is we're going back to safe, we're going back to procedural, because they're not the 8 best movies of the year. And yes, I statement is subjective, but these are not but to me, and I think a lot of people agree with this is not the 8 best movies we could have picked. Especially since we've had other great movies like Blind Spotting, 8th Grade, Sorry to Bother You, Trace, and not to say that any of them shouldn't, but I feel like they should have gotten a spot somewhere. They should have gotten as well. David, what do you think overall? Like, what were snubs and surprises?
I was very pleasantly surprised to see Marina let me get her last name so I don't butcher it. Marina de Tavira nominated for supporting actress. I didn't see that coming, but I think it's very well deserved. I haven't really seen her brought up a lot in the conversation, and so that was nice. And then, of course, Yalitza Aparicio. That was a nice nod. Other surprises, I didn't expect. What is it? Never Look Away to get a cinematography nomination. I don't think anyone did, so that was a surprise. And then snub-wise, Won't You Be My Neighbor missing documentary is a big one. First Man missing score, cinematography, editing. I mean, I think it deserved even a lot of the above the line, even supporting actress for Claire Foy. That was another big miss. I felt it deserved Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Actor, but it missed all of those. And then Beale Street missing Best Picture. That was kind of big.
Yeah. Last time Barry Jenkins, I mean, this is his follow-up, and granted, not every person that has a follow-up gets a picture, has a Best Picture nomination again. But still, if Beale Street Could Talk it's an impressive follow-up. Like, it still is worthy of award love, and it's worthy of recognition. And it's now in that kind of same category as 8th Grade and Blind Spotting, where it's like these are great movies that just thrown under the bus because Annapurna could only do a campaign for Vice, and Vice kind of, became really popular. The movie started doing award screenings, and then same with First Man. Once Green Book kind of became a random word of mouth hit, you saw First Man just kind of disappear into the darkness, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Which is very sad because you're right. I think it deserved not only cinematography, sound, but I would throw in visual effects.
Well, it got those. It got sound and visual effects. Those were a few of the nominations that it did actually get.
I would have also given it. Oh wait, it did get production design. Okay, that's good.
Mhm.
Okay, it got production design, the sound awards, and then so yeah, it's still. But still, I'm on that same boat with you. I would have Green Book's nomination in process editing. Yeah, I think it man was an achievement in tech. Not the best movie of the year. I think it was worthy of some technical. Uh, um, so I'm trying to remember. Did Roma get cinematography? I'm
Yeah,
trying to.
Roma got picture, director, foreign language film, actress, supporting actress, original screenplay, cinematography, production design, original. Did I already say original screenplay? And then sound editing and sound mixing.
Yeah, so I'm glad Roma did get noticed for his technical achievements because I feel like when you see it in the theater, everything that's happening around you, within that scene, like you feel like you're a character listening to everything. So, and I think that, builds so well to like the sound design and all that. So I think Roma getting nominated for technical awards, I think that works. I think that's a good choice on their part.
Well,
Actually, and I'm glad. What?
Roma and The Favorite led the nominations with 10 each.
Nice. Yeah, and I think, and I don't know if you're ready to go to, but I think Roma is going to be one of the big hits of the Oscars coming February 24th.
Yeah, definitely. Right now, I feel like it's the Best Picture frontrunner because A Star Is Born missed director, Green Book missed director as well. I think I don't know. I don't know if there's
Rhapsody.
Yeah, Bohemian Rhapsody is a big
definitely
question mark.
It is because they did nominate the director, but then again, that movie's kind of been rolled pretty much okay without Bryan Singer. So,
Yeah, although
situation.
it is extremely rare that if a film wins Best Picture without having a Best Director nomination. The last time I think it happened was Argo.
Right. And even it was a long time ago before that.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you think there are courses that could spring up?
They're what?
Like dark, so as winners.
I see Black Klansman as a dark horse. The Favorite seems to have a lot of support within the Academy, given how many nominations it got. So I see that as another dark horse. I don't see Black. I feel like A Star Is Born lost momentum. Vice, I think, is too divisive to win on the preferential ballot. Green Book is kind of. I feel like the controversy will keep it from winning, but it didn't stop it from getting the nomination.
Really, the only best bet for Green Book is Mahershala Ali nomination. I think that's its best bet of any win.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, now that Sam Elliott is nominated, that could, I think, I'm wrong, but I think that might throw Rich in it.
Yeah, I think Richard E. Grant's another dark horse in that category to look out for. I'm personally rooting for Richard E. Grant, and I think he could possibly upset. I hope that's what happens.
Okay. I mean, I don't think either one of them is a winner that I can remember. So it'll be interesting to see because Sam Elliott is also like a legend or a legendary actors, and he does give a career almost like Osborne. And granted, I have not seen Can You Ever Forgive Me, but I'm willing to bet Richard Grant also gets that movie too.
Yeah, they both are. Well, I don't know about. I wouldn't say Sam Elliott was my favorite performance from A Star Is Born, but Richard E. Grant was definitely a big standout in Can You Ever Forgive Me. Like Melissa McCarthy is very good in that, and I'm not a big fan of her acting. Normally, like most of her projects that she chooses, like her comedic work. But I liked her in that a lot, and I felt he even outshined her. So yeah. Poor Adam Driver and Sam Rockwell are just along for the ride.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Other than too much to say on the awards, I mean, again, I'm glad. I'm glad to see like Buster Scruggs, even though I haven't seen it. I'm glad it got some love for adapted screenplay. Because I think seen it, really loved it. And it's like they're like top 5, like, and also perform, because that means, because I mean it means a lot that that movie has had a long critical following, and now like it's gonna get some recognition somewhat. So other than that, my predictions are essentially, I think Roma's going to take a lot of the way. If Roma wins 4, then it's really anyone's game. It could either be the fake. I don't suspect Bohemian Rhapsody to win Best Picture, but then again, so that always kind of throws an interesting wrench into things. Other than that, the only snubs I would have given, I think they got snubbed big time, especially for screenplay. But then again, like I'm looking at the list of the screenplay nominations, and the only one I really would take out is maybe is really just Green Book. That's the only one that I would take out.
Yeah, I would take out Green Book and put in 8th Grade.
Yeah. Same, even though I really did want, like, if I could have done like a 6th nomination, it would have been Bad Times at the El Royale. Because I think I think that's like Drew Goddard's so far, and I think him getting a nomination would have bode very well for any future endeavors, because Bad Times at El Royale hit. It kind of came in, and I wish it would have gotten some love after that. So yeah. So with that, are you ready to? So with that, do we have any more? Do you have any more to say on the Oscar nominations?
We could just run down predictions really quick if you want to.
All right. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. So do you want to do Best Picture real quick?
Yeah. For now, I'd say Roma, but that could change.
If I did Best Picture, I would do. I wouldn't be surprised if but if Roma does picture, then it will win Best Picture, because that seems to be the darling right now in the awards race.
Mm-hmm.
However, now that AMC and Regal are not displaying the movie as Best Picture showcase, that will make things a little bit more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. All right. Best Actor.
I'd say Bale.
So go with Bale. I mean, Malik. Apparently, people are really taken by his performance.
Mm-hmm.
I would say Malik as a second contender, and then Bradley Cooper, because because Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga are, as far as I know, like in like the awards rounds. So I think it is a dark horse as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so actress.
I think Glenn Close is gonna win, but I'd really be happy with any of them.
Yeah, I would say. Yeah, I think Glenn Close is the one that really could. But also, I think it's also Olivia Colman's game as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think Olivia. I think because she's the one that won the best act for comedy at the Golden Globe, right?
Yeah, and she also won the Critics' Choice comedy, Best Actress comedy.
So I think the second she could also be the competitor to Glenn Close.
Mm-hmm. Either her or Gaga. I feel like it's between the Close, Coleman, and Gaga, and then Aparicio is a dark horse.
And then Melissa McCarthy's just long.
Yeah, she's just there.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's what happened. Nomination. Somebody's just gonna have to be like, "I'm just here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting invited, so I'll go." And then for actor in a supporting role,
Mahershala is probably going to win it, but I'm rooting for Grant, and I think he and Sam Elliott are both dark horses.
I'm rooting for Sam Elliott. I agree. I think it's Mahershala's. I think people. Again, it's. I guess I need to really see Green Book to see what everyone's talking about, but people seem to be really taken by Mahershala's portrayal of the character he's playing. So
yeah, he's definitely good in it. I just felt like he was better in Moonlight, in my opinion. Although he has more to do here, but I liked his performance better in Moonlight, and he already won an Oscar for that. So to me, I'm like, why root for the guy that already has an Oscar when I can root for the guy that doesn't?
And on top of that, Moonlight was only 2 years ago.
Yeah. So it's so soon to get a second win already.
Yeah. Essentially. All right. So what about actress in a supporting role?
I think this is one of the best categories this is easily one of the best categories in the entire lineup. I was rooting for Claire Foy, but she missed, and I can't pick between the favorite ladies because they're both so great. Like, it's hard for me to choose one because I thought Emma Stone and Rachel Weisz were equally great. And then I think, I don't know, they're all amazing. So it's hard for me to pick one. But I'm kind of rooting for Marina just because she kind of came out of nowhere. And like, I think it'd be awesome if she won. But I think Regina King will win it.
I think this is Regina's as well. And honestly, all four of the other gave really great performances. I can go into each one of them performance and what they brought. However, I think Regina elevates. Not saying Jenkins' material was bad, but I think she elevates it in a way that makes it even better.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, like she liked her performance, especially when she's like, I forget where she went,
Cuba,
but
I
she's
think?
in like that foreign country, possibly. But she's like in, and she just lost, she just rape victim even more, and you just feel like the weight of everything just falling onto her because she is failed. Without her having that, I think it would make the movie less powerful. I think,
Mm-hmm.
and I think she sells it incredibly, like incredibly well. So I'm gonna root for Regina King while also thinking, yeah, she's gonna win.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, I could say great things about the other four.
Definitely.
And then I think we'll kind of wrap it here. But we'll go into screenplay. But before that, a feature film. Just
You want to go direct?
Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah, Spider-Verse
Oh.
for animated. But yeah, you want to do director?
Oh yeah, yes, of course.
So I haven't seen Cold War,
Do you just
but
want to say it together?
I'm pretty sure Quaron's gonna win director.
Yeah, he's gonna win. I mean, if there's a dark horse, it would be
Spike Lee.
I would
probably.
say. Really, you think the dark horse?
I think Spike Lee because like he's got the narrative of he hasn't won an Oscar yet. He hasn't even been nominated yet, I think. So I think he has that narrative going for him. So I could see him as a dark horse, but I think it's Cuarón for sure. And Lanthimos is another dark horse.
I think McKay is again along for the ride.
Yeah.
He might win an award for screenplay.
I don't think he's gonna win screenplay.
Oh, really? You don't? Okay.
I think the favorite's gonna win original screenplay, with First Reformed as the dark horse there.
Okay. All right. So while we're on that topic, so you believe the favorite's gonna win best original screenplay, and then what would you say
for adapted?
For adapted screenplay,
if Beale Street, I think that'll win.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Black Klansman's the dark horse in adapted.
I think A Star Is Born is the dark horse because I feel like the Academy loves movies like A Star Is Born. So it would be so odd if they had nominated the movie and then only gave it like best original song, if that.
I think that's gonna sadly what's gonna happen to it.
It's a high possibility. I just think I think they might reward the movie with something else because again, I mean, the Academy loves movies like A Star Is Born, so I think the dark horse is A Star Is Born, and then if Beale Street could talk, we'll probably win more for A Star Is Born in this and Black Klansman. Not to say again, not saying Jenkins' script was terrible. I think, of the three that I've seen that are on the list, Star is Born and Black Klansman are just a hair better in terms of writing.
Mm-hmm.
And then original, I don't think Roma's gonna win. I think they're gonna try and spread the love and give it either to The Favorite or First Reform. But also, I wouldn't be surprised if Adam McKay wins the screenplay award again.
Yeah.
I would be shocked if Green Book won Best Original Screenplay. I'd be shocked.
I don't think it'll happen after the controversy last week.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But then again, the movie still got 5 nominations.
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah. So, other than that, do you have any more predictions you want to throw out?
Not really. Well, I mean, I could, but I don't want to drag it on anymore. I feel like we've gone on enough.
All right. So, yeah, I don't have any more to say right now. We'll come back in a month to talk about the Oscars themselves and all that. So with that, David, do you want to get into the top 10s?
Yeah.
All right. So, before we get into the top 10s, do you have any a couple honorable mentions you want to bring up? They're not on your top 10.
Here, I'll just read off my blog. These are all my honorable mentions in alphabetical order. Annihilation, Black Panther, Black Klansman, If Beale Street Could Talk, Paddington 2, Roma, Thoroughbreds, Vice, Won't You Be My Neighbor, and You Were Never Really Here.
Okay. All right. They're my top 10 either. So, but just to go quickly through my honorable mentions, I would mention Sorry to Bother You, Widows, A Star is Born, Vice, The Favorite, Ralph Breaks the Internet, Crazy Rich Asians, A Quiet Place, If Beale Street Could Talk, and then First Man are my honorable mentions. Great movies. Again, nothing. Again, when you get to the top 20 on my list, it's pretty much all A pluses here on out. Like these are 20 great films. Like it's hard to come. It's hard, like it's even hard now looking at my top 10, being like, I really should probably switch. A couple of these 7 and 8 around. So yeah, it's top 20 is hard. So with that, number 10.
My number 10 is probably unpopular choice. I have Beautiful Boy. It's my number 10.
Ooh, you like number 10? Why did you like Beautiful Boy?
I think the narrative was admittedly a little messy, but I really connected to it emotionally, and it's probably like the most I've cried in a theater like ever. So, and I thought the acting was incredible from both Chalamet and Carell.
All right. Yet I know it's on Prime now, but I'll check it out. I'll check it out because I've heard really good things, and the big selling point of the movie is Chalamet. So I'll have to check it out as soon as I can.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so my number 10 is because again, everyone it's so low, but my number 10 is Black Panther. I love Black Panther. It's I look back at the Guardian movies when I reference Black Panther because the Guardian movies, Guardians of the Galaxy movies, they feel like I'm going to a place. They feel like I'm going somewhere new into the universe I haven't been, and it's new, exciting. The characters, they're fascinating, and the story and the stories are even more compelling. And by the end, I'm rooting for the characters to fight off, whether it be Ego or Ronan the Accuser. And the same happens here for Black Panther, except Black Panther kind of gets does a little better job than Guardians 1 because I feel for Killmonger. I feel for Eric in his struggle. He's one of the rare times I can have empathy towards a villain, and also like I can understand where he's coming from. And also, I love that this is a Marvel movie that's like, the villain has to teach the hero something. The hero has to learn something. Is what the villain is going through has to be part of what the main character's arc is.
Mm-hmm.
Over Black Panther, it's truly great. Wakanda is great. Can't wait to see more of Wakanda when we get the sequel and whenever that comes out. Do you have any thoughts to say
On Black Panther?
Yes.
Or just I loved Black Panther. It didn't quite make my top 10 just because there were other things I saw that I liked more, but I think it's kind of become underrated in a sense, like because I've seen so many people calling it out as overrated. Like if you go to the Marvel Studios post about it getting a Best Picture nomination, go through the comments, it's rough. But I think the one weak spot I say is like the visual effects in the last third, but otherwise visual effects are stellar across the rest of it. And I think it's one of the better superhero movies in recent years. Excellent film.
Awesome. It is. So what is your number 9?
This is probably another unpopular pick. A Quiet Place. Quiet Place. I'm not huge on the horror genre, but A Quiet Place like really worked for me. I felt like its jump scares were creative and earned because of the concept with like the like absence of sound and everything. The sound design was exceptional. The performances were great. I emotionally connected to this one as well. I thought it was a really solid horror film that most people seem to really like, but I've seen a vocal contingent that kind of have been bragging on it since it came out.
Well, there's always the naysayers that want to attack it.
Mm-hmm.
And this was actually my number 1 for a time. Like this for a few months, this was my favorite movie of the year.
Yeah, it was up there for me
because you mentioned
for like I think for like a solid month, and then Infinity War came out.
Yeah, it's like it is. For me, it was number making is so impeccable, and I love movies that are very creative or have creative premises. And A Quiet Place just it worked for me on top of really great and I really like the use of sign language and the deaf girl in that movie. And on top of that, it's a really compelling story, and it has a few flaws that did kind of knock it down. Like I hate to get cinema sins here, but it really was frustrating in the third act when it took forever for the deaf girl to realize like what was causing the monsters to, like it took forever. But I'll give Krasinski this. When they do realize it, and Emily Blunt is like just shotgunning these aliens, it's perfect. It's so badass. but yeah, I really liked Quiet Place. So number 9 is Blind Spotting. It I saw this at the Atlanta Film Festival this year. It was actually our opening film, and from the moment I saw it, I knew this was going to be a top contender for me. I couldn't wait to see it again. Unfortunately, I had to wait till July to see it. And when I knew this was going to be a movie we were going to be talking about for 8, I think what Davi Diggs and Rafael Casal, I think what they did so brilliantly, a movie that really deserved to be nominated for a screenplay, is that they knew how to channel in, identity and the struggle of maintaining a friendship and the struggle of maintaining, a safety for yourself in an environment that is hostile. So I really loved it. And then the last 10 minutes, did you ever see Blind Spotting?
Yeah, I'll just say out of the gate, I'm in the minority that wasn't too impressed with it. I thought it was okay. I know I'm in like a really small minority on that because I've seen nothing but love and adoration for it across the board. But yeah. I thought it was well acted.
Well, let me ask you this: Did you like the ending of the movie?
I thought it was okay. Like, I mean, I think a lot of my problem with it was that it seemed kind of one-sided with the police brutality thing. Like, it didn't seem to offer much of a empathetic view, to the police officer's perspective. Like, obviously, like, it didn't seem like it ever sided with, oh, not all cops are bad. Like, that was kind of the viewpoint I got. Like, it was just kind of like, okay, all cops are out to go out and shoot black people. That was kind of the vibe I got from it, and I wasn't like that. And then I wasn't a big fan of his friend character, and I thought I didn't like the way his ex-girlfriend was treated in the story. Like, I felt like it kind of treated her like she was like a snob, when I felt like she was kind of right in her opinion of not trusting. I forgot the main character's name. Not trusting him. I don't know. Those are just my things that bothered me.
Right. I mean, you have a point there, but I feel like the movie does earn her distrust for the character, or earn not necessarily distrust, but skepticism of the character, of both of the main characters. So I think those moments do happen. It's a lot more subtle, and you're right. I feel like it's a movie. It's coming from a viewpoint of someone that is terrified. That is terror happening in their environment, they are speaking to that. So I totally get that. I totally get the one-sidedness, but I think they're speaking to something that they're afraid of.
Yeah, I think,
and they're trying to comment on it.
There were definitely some scenes in it where I think they captured that really well, but I felt like it seemed too skewed. Like, to me, it seemed like for example, like another film with similar subject matter, to a degree, like Black Klansmen or Widows. It seemed like they kind of offered like a point of view of like, oh, they're not all bad,
Right. Okay, I mean that's fair. That's totally fair. So what is your number 8?
It's another Emily Blunt film, Mary Poppins Returns.
Yeah.
No, I'm serious. This just swept me off my feet. I loved it so much. One of the most delightful films I saw last year. My favorite musical since La La Land. and Emily Blunt was exceptional. I thought she was snubbed, but I was okay with it because Yalitza got in.
Yeah, Yalitza deserved that. Look, Emily Blunt is great in Mary Poppins, and in fact, that whole cast is really good. And I don't have a massive. I mean, I don't have a massive hate on for Mary Poppins Returns. It's just one of those movies where you really have to love musicals, and musicals are kind of and also it's not as, and also like and we discussed this on the podcast. It's not as nice core as I wished it would have been. So I'm not gonna bash on your. I won't bash on it, but that's an interesting number 8.
Yeah.
So speaking of Yalitza, my number 8 is Roma. I loved Roma when I saw it. I love the experience. It felt so much like it felt like a combination of Francis Ford Coppola movies from the 70s and a combination of Michael Cimino, because both filmmakers in their prime would orchestrate these large, just normal set pieces, but they would just orchestrate these scenes where the extras are doing, one thing in the background, and they do something walks in the frame, like, that normally a director would be like losing their, losing their shit over just to do that one scene where the extras are like, doing a canon, or they're doing, or there's a band going on in the background, and it's all orchestrated perfectly to where it feels real, but it never feels like there's a mistake. And on top of that, Roma it's a sad story. It's a sad story about women who have to deal with the ramifications of immature men's decisions, regardless of where they're from, regardless of if they're like the karate thing, or if they're the doctor at the beginning of the movie, the doctor husband at the beginning of the movie. So that's and I feel like that's why I'll give the Oscars praise for nominating Yalitza and I think that's her name, because it is a really powerful story. Who have to live with the remnants of the men in their lives, and it's just, and on top of it, it's just a beautiful, very autobiographical story. So, yeah. Did Roma ever show up anywhere in your top 10?
It was floating around in like around 9 or 10, but then I saw a couple things and it got bumped to honorable mentions.
Okay. All right. So that happened.
Avengers Infinity War. This one I've kind of soured on it a little bit since I first saw it, because just kind of the realization that it's part one of a larger story, and that really my opinion of it could change if Endgame doesn't deliver a satisfying ending to me, or if it doesn't if it doesn't rectify the dusting in a satisfying way. I feel like it could make me like Infinity War less. But I think just for what it is, for bringing together 18 previous or all 19 films and so many characters over across 10 years of storytelling, it pulled off a lot, and it balanced characters incredibly well, even though there may not be that much character development across the ensemble. I think it does a great job of giving every Avenger or superhero or major character their moment to shine. and the spectacle is like incredible in it. So yeah.
So bad choice. I really like Avengers Infinity War, but I also see it. I don't like yes, it is or the first half of a story. Like yes, I realize that. I mean, they originally titled it as Infinity War Part 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
How I will make you my grave that it's its own complete story.
I mean, it is
Like
its
it
own
has its
complete
own
story.
beginning, middle, and end.
It does, but on that same point, Endgame could effectively retcon the whole thing. So I feel like that could make it seem not as effective on like when I revisit it after I see Endgame, you know? Depending on how they handle that.
The big thing about Endgame is I'm excited, but I wish we got Endgame like at the end of Phase 4. Like I wish. Like I get it, you don't want to leave people hanging. You want to leave people knowing, okay, there's gonna be, a chapter that's gonna, rectify or give them the happy ending. But like the better idea would have been to make Phase 4 about the ramifications of the snapping or dusting, as you say, and have like individual movies reflect on that. Like instead of Guardians 3, let's have a Ronin movie where we see Hawkeye go on his own separate missions, or assassination attempts to end with the drama. And then, instead of killing Spider-Man, let's see him where he has to fight save Queens from whatever it's gonna, the ramifications there. So I feel like, and I know this is a dark turn for Marvel. However, I think to give Endgame a little bit more build to where we experience the post snapping and then they go and rectify it. Because admittedly, the Russos have already said Endgame is going to be a time travel movie.
Mm-hmm.
So
I totally get what you're saying, but like at the same time, I feel like it wouldn't make sense with the way the characters have been established for them not to try to rectify the situation as quickly as they could. So that's why I don't mind it coming so soon. I'm just saying, I feel like in the end, my opinion of Infinity War is going to be dependent on Endgame.
I get what you're saying too, but I feel like what if they do realize there's nothing they can do, and then but also in this phase you get little clues and little pieces as to, oh, they could build a little like a discount like time stone that allow them to go back in time. So I mean, but beside the point, we're gonna get Endgame, and you are right. Endgame unfortunately affect how we not really only view Infinity, also how we view the entire with the stones.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gonna make or break the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I believe. Like if it doesn't work, then there will be ramifications. But if it does work, then good on Kevin Feige and Marvel and Disney for investing in it almost a decade ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. All right, so we are at number 7, right?
Yes.
So my number 7 is Suspiria. I love this weird movie that Luca Guadagnino made. It's not entirely scary. Or maybe not scary for me. I mean, I know for some the ideas in the movie and the ideas of what's happening to the characters is horrifying, but I loved the weirdness of it. I loved how everything played out and was slow burned. Like a lot of people will bring up that Hereditary has this like great slow burn, and it, built to the horror in the last 15 minutes. It built to that shocking ending. But I feel like Suspiria deserves a lot of credit because the movie tells you at the beginning, this is a story about witches. This is a horror movie with witches. But it still builds interesting, dramatic climax with Susie and Tilly, and it all builds to a really great emotional climax. Has something powerful to say and something even more revealing to say. And it's one of the rare remakes where it subtly is following the plot of the original movie. Like if you compare the two side by side. However, Suspiria, this new Suspiria, like it adds more to what Dario Argento was saying in his original. Like it adds more. So for me, this is like the perfect horror remake from the 70s. And I cannot wait to see what Luca Guadagnino does going forward.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, what was your number 6?
My number 6 was Widows. I thought Widows balanced so much subject matter, characters, while also featuring like great filmmaking. It was one of the best films of the year that just got like snubbed so bad award season. It flopped at the box office. It was just one of the more one of the films of 2018 that went completely under the radar for most people. And I really loved it. Daniel Kaluuya is my favorite best supporting actor performance of last year for that film. And yeah.
I love, and I bumped it in my honorable mention, not because on my second viewing I didn't find it but I don't know, like placing Widows was so hard because it was so like a movie. It works so much better the more you see it, and you have Gillian Flynn's like way she twists the narrative. It's the perfect. It's a really well done movie, and it's a really well done heist movie. That at the end, it's all set up how it reaches its climax. And it's great movie. I hated that it flopped because that means because I don't know what that means going forward with Steve, and he's been avoiding franchise movies for like the last few years, and now he finally makes a movie and no one goes to see it. So yeah, I loved Widow. My number 6 is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Did this one end up on your list at all? Your top 10?
Yeah, well, I'll get to it. So I won't say anything because I'm going to touch on it later on, but you can go ahead.
I think this is the best animated movie of the year, not just because of its techniques and style, but also every punch it wants to hit lands, every emotional beat. This is literally my 12-year-old cousins, this is their version of Rocky, in my opinion. This is what they're going to be emotionally motivated by. I think this is going to be long last. I think while yes, the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies are going to be successful or more successful than this. But I mind you, now that they've done a Miles Morales movie, I wouldn't put it Marvel for them to go ahead and start like making a post-credit scene where Miles Morales shows up. Where like Donald Glover comes up in a post-credit scene of Far From Home, and we meet our new Miles Morales. But anyway, that's beside the point. It's just great. It hits every emotional beat. You talked about A Beautiful Boy. You were sobbing in tears. The scene where the dad comes in, or dad comes back to the school, and and Miles is in his dorm. He's tied to the chair because he's literally paralyzed with fear of not knowing what to do. And to hear, his father, tell basically the appreciation speech, like that scene, just like it just moved me to tears. And then to follow it with him finally, it's brilliant stroke, brilliant writing, and the way the movie is emotionally satisfying. It's a perfect Spider-Man movie. The twist in the movie is even more chilling and more well executed than the reveal in in Homecoming. It's all great. It is one of the best Spider-Man movies ever made. So with that said, David, what's your number 5?
Before we get to that, I just want to comment that I thought it was really interesting that I hadn't heard this comparison before, that you compared it to Rocky. Like, I think that's a really fitting comparison that I hadn't heard before. Just kind of, I don't know, I thought that was interesting. Wanted to comment on that. My number 5 is The Favorite. I loved the plotting and elaborate machinations behind the scenes, and then the trio of female performances are phenomenal. And and then Yorgos is just like operating on like full maximum capacity, maximum effort, as Deadpool would say. I love The Favorite.
This was other on my honorable mention. Almost made it to the top 10. Because I love this movie because it's essentially dark comedy Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
But this shit. And I love how Yorgos, like, to me, I think The Favorite, like, this is the only one of his movies I've seen so far where you can, it's the most accessible. Like, you can actually like show normal people to give it a shot, and they might like it, because I feel like The Favorite just works so well at like looking down at elitism in the 1700s. So I loved it. It's great, and I can't wait to see what Yorgos does. So my number 5 is another emotional movie. Again, a lot of these, top 5 are going to be a little bit more because they touched me on a very holistic. I love them. So my number, Simon. I saw this movie almost a year ago because I got to see an early screening of it. And you talked about how A Beautiful Boy, you cried a lot. This was the one that made me ugly cry in a theater full of people. Like, it emotionally hit me hard, but also it was well executed, and I'll talk, and I probably will do a video on Love, Simon later, because there's some more things I would love to say about it, on the repeat viewings that I've seen it on. But this is one of my top 5 that's like easily rewatchable, easily the most accessible, and it's so much fun. And so Greg Berlanti is empathetic to the people in this movie, and he gives the characters, a reason to do what they're trying to do, even if the reasons that there doesn't, it doesn't work, or it is hurting other people. I love it. It's gonna be a staple, and I think eventually it'll hit the same way Black Panther did for the as what Black Panther was for the black community. It's gonna be the same way for the gay community.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so what's your number 4?
My number 4 is 8th Grade. This is a film that's grown on me the more I've revisited it. It just captures the awkward experience of being an 8th grader so perfectly. Bo Burnham, like his writing, his direction, it like you feel like you're that like awkward kid again, surrounded by a bunch of other awkward kids, and all the children or teens in the movie, they behave like teenagers actually would. They don't behave like how a lot of movies involving teenagers, the teens kind of act as adults think they do, but like it always comes across as inauthentic. But this just felt so honest and true and genuine, and Elsie Fisher really nails it home with a powerhouse performance. One of the best performances of last year, in my opinion. And I just loved 8th Grade so much.
I'll say it's a little higher on my list, but it's pretty good. So is Leave No Trace. I hope I pronounced this right. Deborah Gullock or Gullock.
I'm not.
This
sure.
is her. Yeah, I'm sure you made a great movie. That's all I can say. Anyway, so this is the one where Ben Foster and I'm blanking on the name. But anyway,
Thompson McKenzie.
Yes. I love this movie because this is it's a father-daughter relationship movie, and you see in this movie how these two characters grow apart and how it's letting go of one in order to survive, in order not only to survive but also to go away from pain, to each other, or in a hindrance to each other. So I love how this movie opens, how that Thomasin McKenzie's character, I love how by the end of it, she there's she wants to join it and do whatever she can to stay in it, while she realizes her father is just too traumatized by the past. And just so sad. Also, it's a relief. They're both going to be better off. It's good. So I love Leave No Trace. It's haunting. It's but it also is emotionally satisfying. And yeah, I wish both of those actors, Ben Foster and Thomasin McKenzie, I wish they had both gotten nominated. Like, I think they give really great performances.
Mm-hmm.
Final scene they have together. So what's your number 3, David?
So now we're finally revisiting Spider-Verse. The animation in this, like as you've touched on, I mean, it's just really unlike anything I'd ever seen. On top of that, just like it's a story with so much heart, and it feels so authentic to the identity of Spider-Man, the very essence of Spider-Man. And then in a way, like it didn't mean to be, but it's like a perfect tribute to Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. I just loved this film so like a lot. It's my favorite animated movie of last year, my favorite comic book movie of last year, my favorite Spider-Man film. Really enjoyed it. Agree with everything you mentioned earlier. And so, yeah.
You're right. It is the best comic book movie of the year, hands down. So my number 9 is the El Royale. Drew Goddard's so people coming back after years of not directing anything. Drew Goddard is for his second feature after The Cabin in the Woods, and he made a perfect tribute to Quentin Tarantino and 70s cinema, but also has something to say about 70s political error and about the rise of like cult statuses, particularly Charles Manson or character, and but also wrap it in a tale that's noir, a flavor of historical drama, and a heist movie. I mean, it boxes. There's horror elements. There are scenes that are, I think, are even scarier than what's in Suspiria. Like, I mean, I love this movie wholesale, and it not only have great screenwriting, can have great, but also how great, like, because it's him. And also, I really hope they don't cancel that X-Force movie, because while Drew Goddard need X-Force, Deadpool and his whole universe, after seeing Deadpool 2, I'm convinced that they kind of need Drew Goddard. They need X-Force, and Drew Goddard is perfect for that franchise. And so in a way, X-Force needs Drew Goddard, and I hope it gets made after the merger. Who knows? We'll know more in a couple. But yeah, I'm very, very hopeful about the future of Drew Goddard, and I hope he gets to make it. I know. So Amy Pascal is bringing back that Sinister Six movie. He was gonna maybe get that kind of restarted, but like Drew Goddard, I'll just see whatever he does next. I'm so amazed by what he did here, and I can't wait to see it. And I hope a whole other decade for him to make another movie. So yeah. So what's your number 2?
Okay, so my number 2 is not only my favorite in its franchise, but it's also, I consider it to be one of the greatest action films ever made, and that is Mission Impossible Fallout. This film is a non-stop roller coaster. This is just like a full like dose of adrenaline, and it never lets up. Tom Cruise is like going all at it, and these bonkers stunts that are like this dude's trying to kill himself, but we're gonna let it happen because it's so entertaining. And it's just, that's terrible, but I mean, like he's going insane with it, and then the action, plot, and character just like all coalesce so well. I just love Mission Impossible Fallout a lot.
I really liked Mission Impossible Fallout as well. I still think 5 is the best of the franchise. I think what Christopher McQuarrie pulled as far as the climax is, because I mean, if you watch Mission Impossible 5, it feels like it's building to a massive like Mexican, and but then at the end it just turns into it really just turns into game. So I feel like Rogue Nation is just slightly better. It really does work because of what you said. It is a roller coaster. There's lots of twists and turns, story devices, and not all of it. I don't think not everything works, but it is a fun ride. I enjoyed seeing this a lot in IMAX.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a fun ride.
I saw it 4 days.
So number 2.
I saw it 4 days consecutively in IMAX. That was how much I was obsessed with this.
Oh, you really did love the movie.
Yeah.
I've only seen it once, so
I've seen it like 6 or 7 times now.
Nice. Do you own the Blu-ray of it?
Yeah, I got the Blu-ray when it came out.
Okay. All right. So all right. So my number 2 is 8th Grade. Like you mentioned earlier, it perfectly encapsulates, but also immerses headspace and to the point of view of a girl, and also kind of builds, a really interesting like tragedy on it because you get to see earlier on great video was like and how much confidence she was and all that, and then you see her at the end after everything that she had just went through, just in the 1 week that you just kind of get the whole scale of everything that's happened to her, and it's just like, wow, middle school really is terrible. It really does hurt. It really, like, going through puberty does hurt your confidence so much. But even then, I love how that movie ends. I love how she kind of combination that in high school movies like Edge of 17 or Fast Times at Ridgemont High kind of come to realize, and that is, I really just need to find really good friends with them. That's what she does at the end of the movie. She finds a friend that's outside of her school, that one kid, and they bond over Rick and Morty. So it's a happy ending, and of course, is great. Everything was it's great. Bo Burnham is a triumph. I can't wait to see what he does next. He is multiple. He's a trajectory as Donald Glover, I believe. In young artists that are through film and television, and just blowing it out of the park with their talent. David, go ahead and say what, and just go into detail about it.
Okay. Well, my number 1 had to have the word first in the title, and it's not First Reformed. It's First Man. First Man is my favorite film of 2018. I think Damien Chazelle brought something new and invigorating to space race cinema. It's like Dunkirk, but with emotion and characters like Ryan Gosling as Neil Armstrong. Like, this is very introverted, introspective character, but there's so much beneath the surface that's going on, and so much subtle acting. It's brilliant. Claire Foy is outstanding. The technical accomplishments, like across the board, like everything on the tech. It's like a technical masterpiece. The moon landing sequence is my favorite scene of 2018. It's just so, especially in IMAX, just like seeing it, like seeing the aspect ratio expand, and then like it's just so awe-inspiring and impressive, especially the fact they did that on a soundstage. Let me think what else. Oh, then the score is my favorite of the year. And trying to think what else I can say. It's just the film of 2018 that really stuck with me the most. It was it's an introverted story about the most extroverted, as Christopher Nolan put it, the most extroverted event in American history. So yeah, First Man.
I love First Man too. The second, it's softened for me on the second rewatch because I don't know, like I could start to kind of feel the movie drag a little in the middle, but other than that, I agree with what you said and what you just said from Christopher Nolan. It is about the most publicized event in history, but done on a very small scale. Or it's from one work where
a very personal point of view,
right? And you're right. Like the technical aspects, I think, are the best here. Like, yes, we've had, yes, somehow they made a purple dude this. Somebody made a purple dude look really good and intimidating. And we somehow created action scenes that didn't kill a person, even though it should have. Mm-hmm. We've done a lot of crazy stuff this year, but I think First Man should have. I think it deserves a lot of recognition because it still uses the best we got with old-fashioned and new technology. A very personal story, person's grieving process, but also the death of people around him that are not even like just doing missions. They're just like prepping to go on missions. So it worked so well. And you're right. Like that scene where they're landing the thing, it's brilliant because this, when you cut back to him, the camera is shaking so much that he becomes so translucent. If you notice, he's not visible anymore as he's landing this thing until they get over that canyon. When you see him, he's not visible anymore. I could go on and on about First Man and how like brilliant Damien Chazelle directed the movie. And that really its weakest part is probably the script. But other than that, I really love it. I agree. It is a monumentally incredible film. And I wish I could talk more as much as you have with this film, with First Man, about my number one pick, Three Identical Strangers. Mm-hmm. So again, like I said, I can't go into too much detail about the movie other than because I can't get into story beats, but the reason I love this movie and this documentary so much is I'm a huge storytelling person. And I'm very much a proud believer of the system but this happens and then therefore this happens, like a causality effect of something that's going to build to a snowball effect. And for me, I think Three Identical Strangers, out of every movie that's come out this year, has done that the best, where they've built on to even more to the craziness that's happened to these three people, and not only that, but it's to multiple people. that, this premise has happened to, or this very same scenario has happened to these three brothers, and the way that built and the way that affected them, and that the way it snowballed is fascinating. And while doing that, while building on that snowball, it has these interesting themes about nature versus nurture. It's crazy, next level crazy, what it builds to, but it has a resolution that I was completely surprised by. And for that, I think Three Identical Strangers be the best movie of the year, but it's my personal favorite. To keep rewatching this every year, and I can't wait. And I hope that Netflix or Hulu or someone will put it on their streaming service eventually.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, David, that's our top 10. That's our top 10 list. We did it.
Yeah.
We're over an hour, but we did it. So going into it, just as we wrap up, what are you looking forward to the most in 2019?
Episode 9. Besides it, Endgame, Knives Out. I mean, there's a lot of things, but those are 3 off the top of my head.
So I'm not really interested in seeing it, but I'm curious to see how both Dark Phoenix play out. Especially since these are quote unquote our last X-Men, maybe sort of our last X-Men movies from the Fox Marvel. Again, we will not know a whole lot more until later this year. So I'm curious to see how those turn out. But in terms of interested, I'm very 9 as well. I think for Abrams to end the story, and I'm curious to see what he does with it, and how he follows up Rian Johnson's Last Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
So, and yeah, I mean, I don't have any more to say. I mean, you nailed it with Knives Out, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I love me some Tarantino, and I'm very excited to see what he does. I'm kind of excited to see him go back to basics with his kind of 70s aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm interested in that. And then as I had earlier last week, I am very interested in Spider-Man Homecoming or Spider-Man Far From Home and Captain Marvel. So,
and then John Wick and Godzilla. Those are two.
Oh yeah, I can't wait for Godzilla. That final trailer, that's perfect. Perfect OG moment for me. Perfect OG stuff for me. But yeah. So other than that, 2018 was a really good year. It was sort of boring, but we had some great movies. David, do you have any more thoughts on 2018?
Not really.
All right. Well, with that said, David, where can the good people find you?
At Weiser_David, and then also writing reviews and over at Film Assessment.
Awesome. And I'll put the link to David's blog below, especially the one where he talked about his top 10 and his honorable mentions. I'll put that in the description of this podcast. David, thank you for coming on, and you can find me on Twitter at MovieKale, and you can also follow me at the Youth Critic, and then And then you can also follow the channel that distributes this podcast at KHC Network. Thanks, everyone. We'll be back with you very soon on the Glass podcast as we try to get caught up to speed after a long break. Thanks, everyone. We'll be back soon. David, again, thanks for coming on.
No problem.
Thanos did exactly what he said he was going to do. He wiped out 50% of all living creatures.
We lost, all of us. We lost friends, we lost family, we lost a part of ourselves. This is the fight of our lives.
This is gonna work, Steve.
I know it is. Because I don't know what I'm gonna do if it doesn't.
Is anyone home? This is Scott Lang. We met a few years ago at the airport in Germany. I got really big.
Is this an old message?
Ant-Man, I know you know that.
It's the front door.
That's me. Can you buzz me in?